Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adi and today we have our first team report from the Louisville Regional Championships and I am joined by another top player. I'm joined by Norah. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you, Audie?
I'm doing well. It's good to have you on and it's good to be back from Louisville. And yeah, it's been a little bit since you've been on the channel. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
All right. So I'm Nora. This is my first tournament back after a couple months of not touching the game, but I could not stay away. I love VGC too much. And yeah, I'm kind of good at Pokemon. I'm really funny on Twitter and everybody loves me.
Yeah. And after coming back, you got all the way to top 16 of the Louisville Regional Championships, back in top cut with a really cool team. With and so yeah, I was talking to you a little earlier. This team it looks pretty standard. All these mons we've seen these before. We've seen a lot of these in combinations, but we really have not seen these sets. These move sets. There's a lot of really unorthodox choices in these more common, powerful Pokemon. Talk me through your team building process for this regional and how you chose these six Pokemon to use.
All right. So the idea of the team started with the core of Focus Sash Attacker plus Life Orb Mimikyu because with a Sash attacker and an offensive Mimikyu, it's basically double focus Sash with the disguise, and then you get to trade damage really efficiently. And that's a core I've used before at the San Diego regionals, the first regional of Scarlet and Violet, and I really loved playing that team. And that's a very different team, but it also started with that same concept. So when I was coming back and building for this event, I wanted to work from a similar concept because I thought it could be strong right now.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so it seems like you started with the Mimikyu Sneasler combination. How did you fill out the last four Pokemon?
Well, we tested a lot of different things in those slots, but we landed on these six because they have really big numbers, basically. So for a lot of testing, we had a Primarina over the Blood Moon, and then we were like, we don't need a water type. Dozo's fake. We don't need Haze. We just want our special attacker to be big and do a lot of damage. So AV Blood Moon's incredible. We have Terra Ghost on it. So a lead that I really like is Sneasler Blood Moon. And then you can just Terra Ghost to the Blood Moon and it can't get faked out. It walls Sneasler if they don't have Throat Chop, but even then it can take pretty okay. And it just gets to hit buttons. It gets to be really fat and hit buttons even outside of Trick Room.
Mm-hmm.
And the Scarf Garchomp, we tested Dragonite and Dragapult in that slot because we knew we wanted something really fast to clean in that slot. And the issue with Dragonite is that it can't click stabs when it's doing the really fast thing. It has to click E-speed, and that felt pretty exploitable. And the Dragapult felt like it made us too King Gambit weak. So we put a Scarf Garchomp there because it kind of does the Dragapult stuff of being a really fast dragon type, except it has more of a defensive presence. It's a lot bulkier, and it does really well into King Gambit with the Ground Stab, Rough Skin, and also the Terra Fairy. Rillaboom like rounds out the Trick Room mode by being kind of slow. It gives us a second Fake Out, which really helps the Golden Go setup, and being really strong priority with Max Attack Miracle Seed, and then just really, really strong with Max Attack Miracle Seed Woodhammer in the priority from Glide. It it gives the team a lot of flexibility being something pretty bulky with Fake Out, but then it also has a lot of power with it. And it also makes the Rain matchup playable because if Rillaboom wasn't there to kill Basculegions, Rain would be an auto loss. Then the Golden Go for a lot of testing, that was a King Gambit, and we had coaching on the Sneasler, but we found Amoonguss balance really hard to play against. So we were just like, okay, let's test the other broken setup steel type that doesn't care about Amoonguss. And then we were like, well, okay, why do we have coaching on the Sneasler then? So we put Protect on it. Protect is a very good move. And Golden Go felt really good at the event. Citrus Golden Go is something I was really surprised to not see more of, because if you're not a lot can one-shot Golden Go, but a lot can do a lot of damage to Golden Go. And if Golden Go takes a lot of damage as it's setting up, you don't really get to get that much value out of the nasty plot, because it's so low it just dies to anything. So having the citrus on it means you can just eat a hit and not care.
Hmm. I really like that. I think that Citrus Berry criminally underutilized right now. I don't know if people aren't using it with all these multi-hit moves. It's so good into all those guys. No, I love that because it's really cool to see things like, again, Choice Scarf Garchomp, not really the common set. Assault Vest Ursaluna, not really picking up. Same with Miracle Seed Rillaboom. And so it's cool that you've taken all these really common Pokemon and put some unorthodox choices that I think can really disrupt people. Unorthodox Terra types, like the Ghost Ursaluna, the Fairy Garchomp, and of course the Mimikyu itself is not a Pokemon that we've seen a lot of. Um, and yeah, so it's just a cool combination. And what I really want to hear about, I want to hear more about the Mimikyu. Because this was something that I know in our testing circles we noticed that was picking up on ladder as a cool like fairy type Pokemon that wasn't Primarina. Yeah, so tell me more about the Mimikyu.
Yeah, I laddered a lot. That was me. That was me. So the Mimikyu, it's a really nice speed tier for this format, and with the Life Orb and with Terra Ghost, it's like it's just strong enough. It's just fast enough, it's just strong enough, and it's just bulky enough for it to be worth using, because like Disguise is so good, but its stats aren't completely there, but its stats are just enough that you can abuse how broken Disguise is. So just being pretty fast, being fake out immune, having a built-in focus sash, and having pretty strong priority, these are all really strong traits. And Ghost and Fairy are both really good stabs right now. This Mimikyu gives Dragapults a really hard time. It gives Golden Goes and Annihilates a really hard time. It forces the Terra out of them, which, depending on the Terra type, is usually exploitable by some other Pokemon on the team. And it also just happens to have Trick Room. So we have this really oppressive fast mode of Sneasler Mimikyu that can just turn into, oh, Blood Moon is sweeping.
Hmm. Uh, yeah, absolutely. It's cool to see. I think that yeah, we're really looking for I know this format with no Fluttermane, everyone's looking for a fairy type to put on their team. Primarina was maybe one of the worst performing Pokemon or most biggest underperformers at Louisville Regional. So it's really cool to see this other fairy type pop up. And yeah, so I guess talk me through some of the other Pokemon on the team and why you chose the movesets and EV spreads and Terra types and stuff that you did.
All right, so the Sneasler and Mimikyu have pretty simple EVs. Protect on Sneasler just felt incredible. Especially with no Protect on the Mimikyu. It felt like Sneasler needed Protect to let the team find momentum after losing it. And the Terra Grass on Sneasler felt really good in testing. It didn't come up, I think, at all in the tournament, but I feel like the situations in which Terra Grass are good come up enough that there is a world where Terra Grass won me a set. And there weren't any situations where I wished I had a different Terra on Sneasler, because with Protect I can just not care about opposing Fake Out.
Hmm.
And the Blood Moon, the 44 speed EVs are meant to creep opposing King Gambits. The HP and defense let you always live an adamant Sneasler close combat. The special attack gives you a really good chance for Blood Moon into Vacuum Wave to kill Garchomp, and then it's a special defense dump.
Mm-hmm. And
The
tell me about Terra Ghost. That's something that I know I ran in
Oh
my
yeah.
global Grand Challenge run, but most people have been Terra Normal on it, and so yeah, why that?
Being fake out immune is really nice, and Terra Ghost is defensively really strong right now with all the Sneasers running around. Um, it feels really good to be able to put Blood Moon on the field and just it's AV, so it doesn't have Protect. And the nice thing about AV Blood Moon is that it's so bulky, you don't always need Trick Room for it to get work done. But something that sucks is that it's AV, so they can just fake out and hit it. And then you don't even have a Blood Moon anymore. You have like half a Blood Moon. So being able to be fake out immune, and then also if the Sneasler doesn't have Dire Claw, just being able to Terra Ghost and not care about it felt really nice. And Blood Moon is such a strong move. Terra Normal did not feel necessary at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So with the Garchomp, the speed is for modest Scarf Typhlosions, and the bulk is to give you a good roll to live +2 order up, and the Spadef does something with Make It Rain. I made the Garchomp spread like Friday morning. It's probably scuffed. It could be better probably, but it was good enough.
mm-hmm.
And the Rillaboom, the HP is to live Dire Claw from full. Yeah, it lives Dire Claw from full. It's max attack adamant because if it's Miracle Seed, I want it to hit. And there's nothing that going max attack adamant like guarantees, but there are so many rolls where you just get like 90 something percent to OHKO something. And that's just going all the way and putting those odds as much in your favor as possible felt really strong. And in testing situations where we needed to be the faster Rillaboom didn't really come up. So we decided we only wanted to outspeed the really slow Rillabooms. And then it's a spit F dump.
Mm-hmm.
The and then lastly the Golden Go spread. Um Terra Water felt really good defensively. Especially since the team doesn't have a water type. It's a really nice defensive role to fill for the team. Timid Max felt really important. It's a really nice speed tier in this format, and it helps us a lot against other Golden Goes. And the HP optimizes for terrain recovery, and the 12 Spit F gives us a really good role to live opposing Golden Go's shadow balls, and then it's just thump and special attack.
Yeah. And so one thing I noticed is that you have 5 defensive turrets on your team. You mentioned Mimikyu really needs the boost in damage sometimes. But how did you feel? Did you feel like that was more important in general, or was that a team specific thing?
I tend to prefer defensive Terra types just because in general, I find a lot more value in something living another turn than getting a stronger attack. Because if you live another turn, you get another attack off, which means 200% stronger attack instead of just 50% stronger.
Mm-hmm. That
And
yeah, that's true.
the team's really aggressive and wants to trade damage like really fast. So having like little get out of jail free cards felt really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And so I guess one thing you didn't mention is you had Terra Fairy on Garchomp. Tell me a little bit more about why you chose that and how that came up.
It Fairy is just a really good type, and the main reason we put Garchomp there over like Dragapult or Dragonite is because we wanted it to be better into King Gambit, because we're a Golden Go team, so we don't like King Gambit. And this Garchomp will live a +2 will live 2+2 Black Glasses Sucker Punches if it Terra Fairies, and just having the rough skin damage add up and then not caring about Sucker Punch is just really, really nice.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. And then so when you were going into this tournament, did you feel like you had some game plans into common teams built in ahead of time, or did you have some modes that you expected to use pretty often, or was it all just like look at team preview, totally figured out on the fly?
Yeah, so my favorite leads going into the tournament were Sneasler Mimikyu, into like more aggressive stuff, so we can get those really aggressive damage trades. Sneasler Blood Moon is another really strong lead because we're just putting on fast damage with Sneasler, and then Blood Moon, like nothing can one-shot AV Blood Moon, so it just gets to sit there, and then like Hyper Voice plus CC puts on a lot of pressure. Hyper Voice plus Dire Claw. If something doesn't have Protect, we can fake out Blood Moon it. It it just has a lot of power from turn one. The Garchomp we usually kept in the back to clean up, and into like the Palchua balance team with like the Dragonite, King Gambit, Garchomp, having a Scarf Garchomp in back feels really good into that, because it's good into so much of the team. And then into like Amoonguss balance stuff, Golden Go plus Fake Out is a really strong lead. And then we just sort of cycle Fake Out and try to get Golden Go set up, and then just win by clicking Make It Rain.
Yeah. Uh, and I think notably, you didn't have a lot of the common Goldengo friends. You normally see it within Incineroar, within a Moongus, with a Porygon 2. I guess Sneasler's there. But that guy's up with everyone. So yeah, tell me more about how you what your game plans were when you were enabling the Goldengo, because this is a little different than how other people are using it.
Yeah, so um our partners for Goldango were less defensive support for it and more offensive support for it. So having Scarf Garchomp helps you pin opposing Garchomps to enable the Goldango. So we're not stopping the damage, we're killing the things that threaten the Goldango. And then Sneasler puts a ton of pressure on Incineroar. The Terra Grass really helps with the Goldango lines into the Amoonguss teams, because we can just like close combat the Incineroars and the King Gambits through Amoonguss, and that's why the Terra Grass is there. And it feels really strong when you get to pull it off. And with the Citrus Berry and the Terrain Recovery, it feels like Golden Go has enough staying power without Amoonguss and without Incineroar. With how fast paced this team is, it doesn't need that much staying power.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then I gotta ask, because there's a couple teams out there now that are popping up that I'd say the metagame is sort of centralizing around. The first one being the team that was everywhere at Dortmund, the Sneasler Rillaboom Dragapult team. Tell me about how you play that matchup.
That matchup is, if they're Terra Ghost on the Dragapult, then Golden Go does not come. Otherwise, Golden Go can come. Um, it depends a lot on their sets exactly what you do, but usually you want to lead some combination of Mimikyu, Sneasler, or Blood Moon, like two of those on lead, and then like almost always Garchomp in back to like outspeed and clean up. And then if they don't have a if they're Electabuzz over Magmar and they aren't Terra Ghost on the Dragapult, then you can bring Goldengo instead of the Mimikyu or instead of the Sneasler.
And then the other team that is now popping up everywhere is the team that won the regional and got second at Dortmund, which was a team that Andrew used. The let me pull it up here. The sort of Goldengo the Goldengo balance team, the Goldengo Porygon 2, but the Garchomp team. How did you approach this matchup?
Yeah, into this, you want to play protect the Goldengo, and um, this definitely isn't the strongest matchup of all time, and you do kind of have to play better to pull out a win, but um, one option is leading Sneasler Blood Moon with Rillaboom Goldengo in back, and trying to use Sneasler and Blood Moon to just put enough early damage on that Make It Rain and Glide and back can clean up. And another strong lead is either Sneasler or Rillaboom plus Goldengo, and then you just commit to getting more setup than your opponent.
Um, yeah. And then the other I think the other scary team that everyone's been looking out for is the Ninetales Garchomp team that was everywhere at Joinville Regional. They got second at Baltimore Regionals with Paul Chua. How did you approach this matchup?
Into the Ninetales Double Dragon team, the usually Sneasler Blood Moon is just a really safe lead. It's kind of what I defaulted to when I didn't know what else to do. And the standard line into that is Sneasler, Blood Moon, Goldengo, Garchomp. And you want to use Sneasler and Blood Moon to either kill the things that threaten Goldengo or kill the things that threaten Garchomp. And then once you like trade knockouts, they either have nothing for a late game Garchomp or nothing for a late game Goldengo.
And then last but not least, I guess is Rain. You mentioned that you really needed the Rillaboom to handle Rain. Talk me through how you approached that matchup.
Yeah, so I played Rain a few times at the event, and I always went with Sneasler Goldengo on lead, with Rillaboom and Blood Moon in back. So having the Rillaboom in back to just say no, you're not allowed to win with Basculegion feels really nice, and Sneasler plus Goldengo on lead lets you it gives you options to deal with their more balancy pieces, like their Incineroar Amoonguss mode. You can just kind of set up all day on that, especially with Terra Water Goldengo.
Mm-hmm.
And the Blood Moon, when you have the fast Goldengo and the Glide to like kill the Pelipper, and you have Grassy Glide killing the Basculegion, they don't actually have that much to threaten Blood Moon outside of those the two Rain Mons. So Blood Moon just gets to be fat and do damage in the end game. And Terra Ghost Blood Moon is really useful into Arch, especially in the end game, where you can say no, no body press, no thank you, and then you can just Earth Power it and like do a ton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I love the
that's the standard approach to playing against Rain.
I do love the way that the Aviator Saluna plays in terrain. It's one of my favorite things that I got to use in the Grand Challenge, and so yeah, that makes a lot of sense,
Yeah, so
and
broken.
it's really strong. And so you mentioned you played against a couple Rains, and you talked us through that matchup. Talk us through some of the other matches that you played over the course of your tournament run.
So I am going to say that one defect with the team is Joe's Sun team is an auto loss. There's like there are basically zero options unless your opponent plays worse. And like it's Joe. He's not going to play significantly worse. He's really good at Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So there aren't really any options other than he misses Sleep Powder and you nail every read. So other than that, the um big match the big matchup I want to talk about is the my round 8 against Carl with the Yon Mega team. Um where that matchup is like very much like it very much shows the strength of having more offensive supports for a Golden Go mode because um like having Blood Moon to threaten Earth Power onto the Arch and having a really, really strong Rillaboom to Grassy Glide the stuff before it can kill the Golden Go. Um, it's it's a very different way of playing support the Golden Go. It's not keep the Golden Go alive, it's kill the things that can kill the Golden Go. And that's it's a different approach, but it works very well, and I think this is the matchup that shows it the best.
Yeah, yeah. I think Goldie Rillaboom was not actually all that common at this tournament, and so I think it. But yeah, every time you talk about it, it does make a lot of sense in terms of the way that people are trying to approach their Goldango matchup. It really does seem like it creates a lot of strong pins.
Yes, it does, especially with the Tim and Max Goldengo. Um, it goes before so many things that Glide plus Make It Rain gets to pin like everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the other team that I noticed you played a couple of times is you played you played some Weezings over the course of your tournament. Talk to me about some of those matchups.
So the important thing about playing against Wheezing Toadscruel is close combat plus Shadow Sneak kills Toadscruel, so you don't have to take a nap. And that's really nice. And Blood Moon is really fat and can just kill the Wheezing, and that's really nice. It's if they have Protect on Toadscruel, it becomes a little more awkward because then you can't just safely double the Toadscruel turn 1. But if they have, let's say, Rage Powder over Protect on the Toadscruel, then you just sneak close combat at turn 1, and then no sleep. You're up. You're awake. You're feeling great. And I was fortunate enough to play against Toadscruels that did not have Protect. And that made the tournament a lot easier. It becomes a lot more read heavy if the Toadscruel has Protect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm looking at your schedule. You had a stacked schedule over the course of your course. Even over the course of day 1, you played a lot of really good players, and of course day 2, everyone's so good. It looks like I think you went 9-2, and I think no 9-2s got buys, right? Were you the highest 9-2 on Resistance?
I do not know.
Okay.
I was one of the higher 9-2s on Resistance.
Yeah.
It was like 70%. It was insane.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Were there any other matches that you wanted to talk about from your run?
So in day 2, I played against the same rain team twice, and Golden Go did the Golden Go thing, and it was really good. It was just Golden Go plus Golden Go plus Fake Out being really, really good.
Mhm.
And yeah, Golden Go's broken. Shout out Golden Go.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I mean, looking at this team, other than the Ursa Luna, like every single attack is putting you in citrus range, right? So it actually,
Yeah.
I got to imagine it came up a lot here.
A lot of the time their ensign would just knock off into the Golden Go as it Terra Watered, so it didn't come up a lot. But the flip side of that interaction is I don't care about knockoff if I've already eaten my citrus.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just like eat the berry, and then if I've eaten the berry and rain is up, Incineroar doesn't even threaten it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It seems like if you can navigate through the Ursa Luna, this seems like it's a pretty solid matchup, all things considered.
Yeah, and having Miracle Seed Rilla really helps against Ursaluna because the team puts on a lot of pressure that the opponent wants to use a defensive Terra earlier. So then by the time the bear is in, they have usually expended that resource, and then you can just click glide, and it feels really bad.
Mhm. Yeah.
The other good thing about Blood Moon is that it always lives a burned facade from full, which is it gives you a lot of security if they are able to get Trick Room up.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things I've noticed using the AV Blood Moon is that and also because if they're not burnt, you also live the double tap from the Porygon 2 as well. And so
Yeah,
they don't actually get to exert any pressure if you take a KO and they have to switch the Ursa Luna in on that first turn, you still get to pressure them back. Um so yeah,
yeah,
I
it's a pretty solid matchup.
I could talk about AV Blood Moon for ages. I love that Pokemon. It's a
I love the bear. I love the bear so much.
But yeah, so that's a that's a great recap of the team and of your run. Congratulations on getting all the way to top 16.
Thank you.
First regional back in a while, and already back in top cut. And yeah, so we got the paste. Of course, will be in the description down below. The rental code is on screen right now. Did you have any final words or shout outs that you want to give?
All right, so I have like a decently long list of people to shout out, but I have to shout out all of them because I love all of them.
Mhm.
So shout outs to Celine, Shira, Z, Cameron, Evie, Matt, Sky, Azra, Will, Chris, Justin Tang, to be more specific. There are a lot of Justins, and Jane, my goats. Love all of you.
Yeah. And yeah, thank you again for coming on the channel. I really appreciate it. Again, congratulations on the run. And yeah, until next time, I will see you all later.